Could you trust the one you love after a gut-wrenching secret tears your life apart? Jake thought he knew his wife, until a chilling discovery exposed her hidden truth. Deceptions unravel. Lies pile up. A scandalous twist threatens everything he built. Will he crumble or fight back? The truth is darker than you think. But what happens next will blow your mind. Michael, 38, had built a steady life in Chicago. He worked as a financial analyst, spending his days in a glass-walled office downtown, dissecting market trends. His routine was simple. Morning jogs through Grant Park, black coffee, and evenings skimming reports or catching a Bulls game on TV. Sarah, his wife of 10 years, was 36, a marketing manager at a fast-paced tech startup. They shared a loft in the West Loop, a once vibrant space where they dreamed of a future, maybe a house in Oak Park, maybe kids. But those dreams had faded. Sarah was distant, her attention fixed on her phone, her responses to Michael clipped. Their conversations revolve around schedules or bills, nothing more. He sensed a growing gap, but didn't push. He told himself it was her workload, not them. The shift came subtly. Sarah started staying late at work, citing critical projects or team deadlines. Her phone buzzed constantly, messages she didn't share. One evening, while sorting laundry, Michael found a receipt in her purse from a Lincoln Park restaurant they'd never visited together. Dinner for two, a $90 bottle of Pinot Noir. His stomach churned. He held it up when she walked in. "What's this about?" he asked, keeping his tone even. Sarah's eyes flicked away. "Work meeting," she said too quickly. Her voice trembled slightly, and she busied herself with her phone. Michael didn't press, but the unease settled deep. He wanted to believe her, wanted to trust the woman he'd loved for a decade. But doubt gnawed at him. He started watching her more closely. Sarah angled her phone away when texting, her fingers moving fast. She left for work earlier, returned later, her explanations vague, client drinks or brainstorming sessions. One night, she mentioned a colleague, Ash, a designer at her startup. She laughed, called him just a team guy, but the laugh felt forced. Michael checked Ash's Instagram on a hunch. The guy was younger, all gym selfies, startup jargon, and smug smiles. Michael's chest tightened. Ash was everything he wasn't. Flashy, carefree, unattached. He pushed the thought away. Jumping to conclusions would make him the bad guy. He needed evidence, not suspicion. Evidence wasn't hard to find. One night, Sarah left her tablet on the kitchen counter, charging. A notification flashed. "You were amazing tonight, Ash." Michael's breath caught, his pulse spiking. He stared at the screen, the words searing into him. He didn't open the message, didn't need to. The implication was clear. He sank into a chair, the room dim around him. Memories of their last year flooded back. Her late nights, her coldness, the way she'd stopped looking at him like she used to. This wasn't stress. This was betrayal. Anger surged, but he tamped it down. Yelling wouldn't fix this. He needed to be smart to know exactly what he was dealing with. Michael turned calculated. He checked their shared car app, noticing Sarah's late-night drives to addresses she never mentioned. A bar in Wicker Park, a hotel in River North. He saved screenshots of her texts when she left her phone unlocked, catching fragments of flirty exchanges with Ash. Nothing explicit, but enough to confirm the truth. He dug deeper, learning Ash had a girlfriend, Lila, who posted about trust in relationships on TikTok. Sarah wasn't just betraying him. She was reckless, weaving a web that hurt others. Michael's pain sharpened, but it fueled his focus. He wasn't just a heartbroken husband anymore. He was someone with a purpose. Sarah didn't notice his change. She still played her role, kissing his cheek in the morning, pouring his coffee, asking about his day with a practiced smile. But Michael saw through the act. Her warmth was hollow, her gestures mechanical. One evening, he overheard her on the phone in their bedroom, her voice low and giddy. "Just us, a quick weekend trip," she said. She never mentioned any trip to him. The words hit like a punch, but they also clarified everything. He was done hoping she'd come back, done pretending their marriage wasn't crumbling. He decided to act, to protect what was his. He reached out to a lawyer, Caitlin, who specialized in divorce. "Document everything," she advised. "Stay legal, stay clean." Michael opened a separate bank account, quietly transferring half their savings to protect his finances. He flagged unfamiliar charges on their joint cards, dinners, ride shares, none tied to him. He worked in the shadows, letting Sarah believe she was still in control. She had no idea he was unraveling her lies, piece by piece. Every step he took was deliberate, every move bringing him closer to the moment he'd force her to face the truth. Sarah's deception deepened, and Michael's suspicions turned to cold certainty. Her late nights multiplied, her excuses paper-thin. She'd slip in past midnight, muttering about team happy hours or client dinners, her phone glowing with unread messages. Michael caught her once, texting in the dark of their bathroom, her face softened by a smile he hadn't seen in years. He didn't call her out. Instead, he sharpened his focus, channeling his hurt into action. He checked their shared calendar, blank for her supposed work nights. Their car app showed her driving to a Wicker Park cafe, a River North hotel, places she never mentioned. Each ping of data was a stab, but he stayed steady, piecing together the truth. One morning, Sarah left her phone on the counter while she showered. A text from Ash flashed. Friday's going to be special. Michael's blood ran hot. Friday was their planned date night, a rare evening she'd agreed to weeks ago. He snapped a screenshot, his fingers steady despite the betrayal burning in his chest. He wasn't just gathering clues now. He was arming himself. He dug into Ash's social media, finding a photo of him with Lila, his girlfriend, at a rooftop bar. Lila's TikTok was full of posts about trust and building love. Michael realized Sarah's lies weren't just breaking his life. They were shattering someone else's too. He tested Sarah that night, asking about Friday over dinner. Just a work thing, then home, she said, her eyes fixed on her plate. The lie was bold, and it snapped something in Michael. He was done being the fool. He messaged Lila anonymously, creating a Google Drive folder labeled Truth. Inside, he uploaded Sarah's text to Ash, car app logs, and a photo of them laughing at a cafe they used to call theirs. His note was short. "You deserve to know." Lila responded in hours. "Thank you. I'm handling it." Michael didn't need her to say more. He'd lit the fuse, and Sarah's world was about to spark. The fallout hit fast. 2 days later, Sarah stormed in, her face pale, phone pressed to her ear. Michael overheard her from the hallway, her voice tight. "You can't just walk away, Ash. What about everything we planned?" She paced, unaware of Michael's shadow in the doorway. Lila had clearly confronted Ash, and he was bailing. Sarah's panic was proof. Her connection with Ash was crumbling, and Michael had triggered it. He didn't smirk or interrupt. He kept his word quiet, his resolve like steel. He met with his lawyer, Caitlin, the next day. She scanned his evidence, texts, logs, a hotel receipt he'd found in Sarah's email. "This is airtight," she said. "Secure your finances now." Michael canceled their joint credit cards, telling the bank it was for fraud protection. He shifted more savings to his private account, ensuring Sarah couldn't touch his half. He split their phone plan, transferring her number to a new account she'd need to pay herself. He didn't strand her. He gave her a chance to step up. She didn't notice, too distracted by her unraveling affair. Sarah tried to keep up appearances. She made breakfast one morning, pancakes she hadn't cooked in years, and asked about his work with a strained smile. Michael nodded, playing along, but his mind was on the email he'd found, a hotel booking in Ash's name, forwarded to Sarah for a work trip next month. The date matched her latest excuse. Her betrayal wasn't a one-off. It was calculated, sloppy, fearless. Michael's anger surged, but he funneled it into strategy. He wasn't here to scream. He was here to win. He gave her one final opening. At dinner, he looked her in the eye. "Are we okay? Are you happy?" She froze, then forced a laugh. "Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I be?" Her phone lit up mid-sentence, and she glanced at it. That was it, the last lie he'd swallow. Michael made his choice. No more games. Caitlin started drafting divorce papers, and he organized his evidence into a folder. He wasn't chasing vengeance. He was after justice, clean and legal. Sarah thought she was still running the show, but Michael was rewriting the ending, ready for the moment he'd lay it all bare. The cracks in Sarah's facade widened, and Michael's quiet resolve grew sharper. Her lies were piling up, each one sloppier than the last. She'd come home late, hair slightly mussed, claiming team drinks ran long, or we had a pitch to prep. Her phone never stopped lighting up, texts she'd answer with a quick glance away from Michael. He caught her one night, tucked in a corner of their loft, whispering into her phone, her voice soft and giddy. He didn't interrupt. Instead, he doubled down, his pain now a fuel for precision. He checked their shared accounts, finding gaps. Her calendar was empty for these work nights, but their car app logged trips to a Wicker Park dive bar, a boutique hotel in River North. Every data point was a wound, but Michael didn't flinch. He was building a fortress of truth. One morning, Sarah rushed out, leaving her phone on the counter. A message from Ash flashed. Friday's ours. Can't wait. Michael's heart slammed against his ribs. Friday was supposed to be their date night, a plan she confirmed days ago. He saved the screenshot, his hands steady, though betrayal clawed at him. He wasn't just collecting evidence anymore. He was preparing for war. He scrolled Ash's Instagram, finding a new post, a photo with Lila, his girlfriend, a rooftop party. Lila's TikTok preached loyalty and authentic love. Michael's betrayal wasn't his alone. Sarah's recklessness was tearing through another life. He decided to act, not just for himself, but for the collateral damage she ignored. He tested Sarah that evening, casual over coffee. "What's up for Friday?" Her eyes flicked to her phone. "Work stuff, then I'll crash early," she said, voice too smooth. The lie was brazen, and it flipped a switch in Michael. He was done being her fool. He created an anonymous email and sent Lila a link to a Google Drive folder labeled "What You Need to Know." Inside were Sarah's texts to Ash, car app logs showing their meetups, and a photo of them at a cafe, Sarah's hand on Ash's arm. His message was blunt. "You're not the only one he's lying to." Lila replied in hours. "Thank you. I'm done." Michael didn't care about her next move. He'd just thrown a wrench into Sarah's fantasy. The blowback was swift. 2 days later, Sarah came home frazzled, her phone pressed to her ear as she paced. Michael listened from the hallway, her voice sharp. "You can't just bail, Ash. What about us?" She didn't know he was there, didn't see his shadow. Lila had clearly confronted Ash, and he was cutting Sarah loose. Her panic was electric. She was losing her escape, her thrill. Michael stayed silent, no smirk, no gloating. He was too busy working, his focus unbreakable. Sarah's world was fraying, and he'd pulled the first thread. He met with Caitlin, his lawyer, the next morning. She reviewed his folder, texts, logs, a hotel receipt he'd found in Sarah's email trash. "This is bulletproof," she said. "Lock down your finances now." Michael called the bank, canceled their joint credit cards, citing suspicious activity. He moved the rest of his savings to a private account, leaving Sarah access only to her own funds. He split their phone plan, transferring her number to a new account she'd have to cover. He wasn't cruel. He gave her a chance to stand on her own. She didn't notice, too caught up in her spiraling affair. Sarah tried to play normal. She cooked dinner one night, a rare effort, and asked about his day with a brittle smile. Michael nodded. Ate, but his mind was on the email he'd uncovered. A confirmation for a hotel in Ash's name, forwarded to Sarah for a work conference next month. The date matched her latest excuse. Her betrayal wasn't a slip. It was a system, bold and careless. Michael's anger burned, but he channeled it into strategy. He wasn't here to shout or beg. He was here to outmaneuver her. He gave her one last shot. Over dinner, he leaned in. "Are we good? You happy with me?" Sarah froze, then laughed too loud. "Yeah, totally. Why ask?" Her phone buzzed as she glanced at it mid-sentence. That was the final straw. Michael was done with her lies. Caitlin started drafting divorce papers, and he organized his evidence into a clean dossier. He wasn't after blood. He wanted justice, legal and final. Sarah thought she was still pulling the strings, but Michael was rewriting the script, ready to drop the curtain on her deception. Sarah's web of deceit was unraveling, and Michael's determination burned hotter, precise as a laser. Her lies grew bolder, her cover stories flimsier by the day. She'd stumble in at 2 a.m., tossing out excuses like late pitch meetings or team drinks that ran over, her phone always in hand, buzzing with texts she didn't share. Michael caught her one night in their loft's hallway, whispering into her phone, her voice warm, intimate, not meant for him. He didn't call her out. His pain had crystallized into strategy. He checked their shared accounts. Her calendar showed no work events, but their car app logged trips to a Logan Square speakeasy, a Gold Coast high-rise, places she never breathed a word about. Each data point hit like a hammer, but Michael stayed calm, his evidence piling up like a prosecutor's case. One afternoon, Sarah left her laptop open on the counter. A chat notification from Ash flashed. This weekend's all us. Hotels set. Michael's chest tightened, his breath short. The weekend was when she'd promised him a low-key dinner at home, a rare plan she'd suggested. He saved the screenshot, his hands steady despite the betrayal searing through him. He wasn't just collecting clues now. He was arming himself for a reckoning. He scoured Ash's social media, finding a fresh post with Lila, his girlfriend, at a Lakeview art fair. Lila's TikTok was full of quotes about trust and true partnership. Sarah's actions weren't just breaking Michael's life. They were a grenade lobbed into someone else's. He decided to light the fuse. He moved quickly. Using a throwaway email, he sent Lila a Google Drive link labeled, "What He's Hiding." Inside were Sarah's flirty texts to Ash, car app logs mapping their secret meetups, and a photo of them at a cafe, Sarah's hand resting on Ash's knee. His message was curt. "He's betraying you too." Lila replied in hours, "I'm done. Thank you." Michael didn't care about her plans. He just dropped a bomb under Sarah's carefully curated lies. The fallout would hit her hard, and he'd be ready to watch it unfold. This wasn't about chaos. It was about exposing the truth. The impact came fast. The next evening, Sarah burst through the door, her face pale, phone glued to her ear. Michael overheard her from the kitchen, her voice sharp and desperate. "You can't just cut me off, Ash. What about everything we said?" She paced, unaware of Michael's shadow in the doorway. Lila had clearly confronted Ash, and he was abandoning Sarah, leaving her to face the mess alone. Her panic was palpable. She was losing her escape, her thrill, her fantasy. Michael didn't react, didn't reveal his role. He kept his work silent, his focus unrelenting. Sarah's world was cracking, and he'd pulled the first lever. He met with his lawyer, Caitlin, the following morning. She reviewed his evidence, texts, car logs, a hotel receipt he'd dug out of Sarah's deleted emails. "This is rock solid," she said. "Protect your assets now." Michael contacted their bank, froze their joint accounts, and cited potential fraud to cover his tracks. He moved the rest of his savings to a private account, leaving Sarah access only to her own earnings. He split their phone plan, transferring her number to a new account she'd have to pay for herself. He wasn't cruel. He gave her a chance to take responsibility. She didn't notice the changes, too consumed by her crumbling affair. Sarah tried to keep up the act. She suggested a date night. One evening, her voice overly bright, her smile strained. Michael agreed, but his mind was on the email he'd uncovered. A booking for a spa weekend in Ash's name, forwarded to Sarah for a team retreat next month. The date matched her latest work excuse. Her betrayal wasn't a one-time lapse. It was a calculated system, fearless and sloppy. Michael's anger surged, but he turned it into fuel. He wasn't here to shout or smash plates. He was here to outplay her, move for move. He gave her one last opening. Over coffee, he leaned in. "Are you still in this with me? Be honest." Sarah paused, then forced a laugh. "Obviously, yeah. Why the third degree?" Her phone buzzed, and she glanced at it mid-sentence. That was the final line Michael would stomach. He was done with her deflections. Caitlin finalized the divorce papers, and Michael compiled his evidence into a dossier. Texts, logs, receipts, all airtight. He wasn't after blood. He wanted justice, legal and undeniable. Sarah thought she was still calling the shots, but Michael was orchestrating the endgame, ready to lay her lies bare. Michael's plan was in motion, and Sarah's lies were a house of cards teetering on collapse. Her behavior grew erratic. Late nights turned into early mornings, her excuses barely coherent. She'd shuffle in at 3 a.m., claiming emergency strategy sessions or client crises, her phone still pinging with texts she hid. Michael caught her one dawn, typing furiously in their loft's living room, her face glowing with a secretive smile. He didn't challenge her. His anger had forged into a relentless drive. He tracked her work, absences. Her calendar was empty, but their car app showed trips to a Bucktown lounge, a Streeterville penthouse, places she never mentioned. Each fact was a brick in his case, and he stacked them with precision. One evening, Sarah left her tablet unlocked on the counter. A message from Ash popped up. Next weekend's locked in. Can't wait. Michael's stomach twisted. Next weekend was when she'd suggested they reconnect over dinner, a rare olive branch. He saved the screenshot, his pulse pounding, but his hands steady. He wasn't just gathering evidence now. He was building a guillotine. He checked Ash's social media, spotting a new post with Lila, his girlfriend, at a Navy Pier event. Lila's TikTok preached vulnerability and loyal partnerships. Sarah's betrayal wasn't just Michael's wound. It was a betrayal of everyone in her orbit. He decided to turn up the heat. He acted swiftly. Using a disposable email, he sent Lila a Google Drive link labeled The Truth. Inside were Sarah's messages to Ash, car app logs of their late-night rendezvous, and a photo of them at a cafe, Sarah's fingers brushing Ash's arm. His note was blunt. He's not who you think. Lila replied in hours. I'm out. Thanks for this. Michael didn't need her next steps. He just planted a seed that would burn Sarah's world down. The fallout would hit, and he'd be waiting, ready to capitalize. This wasn't vengeance. It was accountability. The reaction was immediate. The next night, Sarah came home shaken, her phone pressed to her ear, voice cracking. Michael listened from the hallway, her words frantic. You can't just ditch me, Ash. We had plans. She paced, blind to Michael's presence. Lila had clearly confronted Ash, and he was cutting Sarah off, leaving her to drown in the wreckage. Her desperation was raw. She was losing her fantasy, her escape route. Michael stayed silent, his role invisible. He kept working his focus a cold, unbreakable line. Sarah's collapse was her own creation, and he just nudged it forward. He met with Caitlin, his lawyer, the next morning. She reviewed his dossier, texts, logs, a hotel booking he'd pulled from Sarah's junk mail. This is bulletproof, she said. Lock everything down. Michael called their bank, shut down their joint accounts, and cited security risks to avoid questions. He moved his savings to a private account, leaving Sarah only her own funds. He split their phone plan, transferring her number to a new account she'd have to cover. He wasn't heartless. He gave her a chance to manage her own life. She didn't notice, too tangled in her imploding affair. Sarah tried to paper over her panic. She suggested a movie night one evening, her voice forced, her eyes darting. Michael nodded, but his thoughts were on the email he'd found. A reservation for a couple's spa day in Ash's name, sent to Sarah for a work summit. The date matched her latest business trip excuse. Her lies weren't slips. They were a bold, reckless pattern. Michael's fury simmered, but he channeled it into strategy. He wasn't here to scream or beg. He was here to outmaneuver her, step by calculated step. He gave her one final chance. Over breakfast, he locked eyes with her. Are you happy with us? Tell me the truth. Sarah froze, then forced a smile. Yeah, totally. What's with the interrogation? Her phone lit up, and she glanced at it mid-sentence. That was the last line Michael would swallow. He was done with her evasions. Caitlin finalized the divorce papers, and Michael organized his evidence into an airtight folder. Texts, logs, receipts, all undeniable. He wasn't chasing blood. He wanted justice, clean and legal. Sarah thought she was still in control, but Michael was setting the stage for her to face the truth she'd spun.